All right, who's ready to drop funnels today? So, for you, I have the ever so waited on webinar funnel. So this has been kind of talked about a couple times. I know I was looking for one the other day, and what I did was I created a webinar flow, much like that of Webinar Jam. I just hacked the flow. This is completely no design whatsoever to it. It's simply the flow. So let me walk you through it, and I'll show you exactly how it works and why it does what it does and why it doesn't do what some of the things that it doesn't do. So anyhow, so we have a quick timer, and this is the registration page for the webinar. Here's where you can tell all the people about the class, exactly what's going to happen, blah, 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 why they want it. Okay. So here we're going to do a register now button. And again, I didn't format any of this. So here's our register for this event. This is an easy pop-up box using the modal pop-up. And I'm going to sign up. Now there's a congratulations page. Now what this page is kind of like a, hey, you're registered. You can put an extra video on it. You can tell people, like I even put this here, here's what you have to do next. Kind of like a step-by-step, like, this is, state of the end is going to be bonuses, that kind of thing. You can put, multiple, you can format this however you want. So, but just to get an idea, I want you to know what you can put in this page and why the page is there. So the next thing it does is it counts down to the actual webinar page. Now, the problem with the counters, okay, is that the way the countdown timers work is that it won't pass along the original time to the second page. So if you're down to, if you started at 10 minutes and all of a sudden you're down to 3, it's not going to pop over to the next page and say 3 minutes. So what I've done in this situation is the very first page, I put a timer there and I just set it for, I think it's 5, maybe 10 minutes. And then the second page, I set it for like 3 or 4. Now, again, if you put a video in there, if it's a long copy type of thing where you have a lot of stuff that people should read, bump that timer up to 5 minutes so people will actually read through it because they have time to do it. So, just so you understand exactly what's going on. But this is how the Webinar Jam funnel, the webinar funnel actually works. So the next thing is the webinar page. Now, the event is starting. Please log in to continue. Now, here's where, you've already taken their email address, but here's where you want to take their email address and go ahead and tag it or move it to a different list in order to correspond with them differently. So I allow you to do that here in this login page. Now, the problem with this login page, and I'm bringing up the problems, but it's not really a huge problem. But if someone goes ahead and enters their information here, okay, there's no way to get out of this page because it's a modal pop-up. The way the modal pop-up works is it doesn't really allow you to just have an event happen on the pop-up and then change it in any way and like make it go away and leave you on the page that it's on. It's either like a send to the next funnel step or a redirect to a URL. So what I did was I actually put a close button up here. So the close button actually allows people to close out of it before they log in. So you may get some inconsistencies with where people are in the mailing, but for the most part, people are going to fill in the information right when it asks. So they'll have to close the button. And here we have the actual webinar video. It won't do chats right now. It doesn't have that functionality, but you could put up a video that has the chat box in it so that people could watch the chat go by. The other thing I did here was put a click here button, and this is to drop you into the sales portion of the funnel. And what I did was I put a timer on that button so that it doesn't show up for a certain amount of time. So the reason I did that was, if you have let's say it's an hour and a half long webinar, most likely you don't want someone actually seeing the button until you offer the deal. So you can go ahead and change the actual time that the button shows up. So it's kind of nice. But that's really everything there is about the flow. So that's the entire flow going through. So you have the registration page where people sign up, you get their email address, they pop onto that congratulations page where they can read more information, maybe watch another video, learn what to expect in the webinar. And then after that timer times out, they go ahead and pop onto this page where you get that second opt-in, which is the actual, what we call login. And you can take their email information and go ahead and move it to lists and tag or whatever in the world you have to do with your autoresponder, whichever one it is. So now about setup. Okay, so setting this up. There is a link to the share funnel. There'll be a link to the share funnel right underneath this video. So now what we want to do is go ahead and I always click the wrong button there. I don't know how many times I've done that. What we want to do is go to the dashboard again. And we will go into the actual funnel and I'll show you exactly how to set this up. So it's very, very simple for obvious reasons, but here there's 4 steps. You have the register for the webinar, you have the congratulations page, and you have the actual webinar page. There's also this down here, which is the templates page. Okay, so here's where those templates are for the actual pop-up boxes. So if we edit those, you'll see there's a row up here for the register for event, and there's a row down here for the login to this event. Now you can change these to whatever in the world you want. I basically copied the default from Webinar Jam, other than maybe the font and color on this button. So that's it. But I copied the exact format from Webinar Jam. This I will be trying to get in rather than just a couple minutes. I can say something to the effect of 10 minutes, or you could even change it to say, a new one, maybe like a new webinar starts every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes or something to that effect. And then take out the timer in the very beginning and maybe, it makes more sense to you. But, I would just leave the timer at maybe 6 or 7 minutes and then bounce it to, 4 or 3 in the next one, depending on how long your copy is, so that people can read through it while they wait. But let's see here. So what you want to do is change these around. You obviously want to go into the opt-in box, and this is all in the standard DropFunnels help, is to go into the opt-in form. You're going to select your service. You're going to go through and, whether or not you want to take in the phone number or that kind of deal. It's all up to you. The actual sign-in button, the sign me up button. Oh, man. All right. The sign me up button goes to the next funnel step, which is all good because the next funnel step is actually the congratulations page. So that is all good for you. Now, let's see here on this button down here. What we want to do is log into this event. All good. Again, you can change that to whatever you want. You might want to put a text box down here saying, after you've clicked enter, please go ahead and click the close button. I think it's probably a good idea. You never know. So once the close button's clicked, again, go into the opt-in box and select your service and set your service up however you want to do that, as far as, putting people on that next list, the actual, viewed webinar list. So once those are done, you can come here and select the row, go to row settings. I'll have to crush down my menu here. But if you go into row settings and click save as, okay, you can click save as, and I would call it, webinar registration pop-up. That's the actual template we want to use for the pop-up. So, and do the same thing to the one underneath and say, webinar login pop-up and go ahead and save them. So once they're saved, we are going to, I can discard my changes here. We are going to go into the funnel steps. Okay, so now everything in the opt-in is going to the correct place. So now we want to go into the register for webinar page, and we want to click on the button, and we want to just simply verify that the button is for the content saved rows and also for webinar registration pop-up. Okay, so select the webinar registration pop-up if it's not already there. I've seen it a couple times not transfer over correctly, so I just want to let you know that that's where to set that. Now, the other thing to do is do the same thing on the next page. The next page is a little different. What we'll do is we'll go discard changes on that. And then we'll come up to the dashboard again. We'll go to funnels. We want to go in here, congratulations page. The congratulations page, all you have to worry about here is the actual minute, the hours, minute, timer, seconds, the hours, minute, seconds timer. Again, you can customize that to whatever in the world you want. So that is all that has to be done on that page. The next page, which is the actual webinar page, this page, we're going to go in and we are going to scroll down, and I have a modal pop-up down here. Okay, this is where you just want to make sure, again, just verify that it's working and that the webinar login pop-up is actually the one that's in the saved rows. So once that's done, they're going to hit the close button, which is all configured correctly. And you can hit done up here. I'll discard my changes. Actually, I'll cancel that. There's also the change of the click here button. So again, I just put this in there for reference so you knew what was going on. But here, what I do is I have a link and it's out to google.com. And it was just to test it out. This is completely just a template. I didn't actually use this on anything yet, but it does work. So here in the click here button, you can change all the, the text style, everything else. What you do want to do though, is you want, depending on how long your webinar is, you want to actually come into the advanced tab, and I have an animation to fade in. Okay. And that fade in right now is 10 seconds. And again, you can go to, 40 minutes. If you have an hour long webinar, you mention the deal or something at 40 minutes, maybe pop that on at 40 minutes and then they'll see the actual click out to your funnel, which is, that's a webinar funnel. And let's see here, if you guys got any questions or anything, grab me in the group. If you haven't already signed up for DropFunnels, there's a link below. The share funnel is also below this video right here on YouTube. And I wish you the very best and happy funnel dropping. Cheers, people.